Today, we kick off our American Championship, racing in Canada, Brazil, Mexico, and the USA. Very different circuits for our drivers to master, and with just 4 rounds, well, there's not much time to make up ground after a bad result. We're racing today then in Travis County, Texas, where 20 corners and speeds of up to 200 miles an hour await us on this magnificent racetrack. It's 60% full throttle with plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the 2 DRS zones into turn 1 and at the end of the long back straight into turn 12. What a race we have in store today. Anthony Davidson, a lot of talented drivers out on the track today, but what will stand out for you?
Well, Crofty, my focus is 100% on the front of the grid. Like you said, we're seeing lots of strong competition across those positions, so it would be super interesting to see the fight for that front spot. Personally speaking, I'm hoping for plenty of overtakes.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Antonio Giovinazzi will lead us away from pole position, with Lance Stroll alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hülkenberg, Sainz, Robert Kubica and Leclerc, Albon, Grosjean, Kvyat and Max Verstappen, Bottas, Perez, Lewis Hamilton and Ricciardo, Gasly, Raikkonen, George Russell and Lando Norris. Vettel and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Okay, you can brake late into 1 because of the incline. It's a slow corner though, so make sure you stay out. Well done, mate. Nice start. was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. This is your final lap of the race. Great job. You've done everything we wanted today.
Here they are then, coming into Parc Ferme, and an excellent win for the Williams team. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
It looks like it's time once again to hand out the silverware as the successful drivers make their way to the podium. It was a gritty performance today by Williams, and they've got the race win to prove it. Let's have a quick look at how the drivers' standings have changed. Robert Kubica takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Well, for me, it's got to be Lewis Hamilton. The multiple world champion may be the boring choice at this point, but you can't argue that he's a driver deserving of his reputation.
It's time to check out the Constructors. It's time to head down to the track now for today's championship race. And I wonder, who's going to come out on top? Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Antonio Giovinazzi put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Stroll, Russell, Sergio Perez, and Vettel, Sainz, Hülkenberg, Bottas, and Max Verstappen. Magnussen, Norris, Kimi Raikkonen, and Ricciardo, Leclerc, Kubica, Alexander Albon.
Okay, be wary of the cars ahead braking suddenly into one. We could ruin our race if we hit them. That move was illegal. Return the position. Keep your eyes open. Not the start we were looking for, but it's not over yet. Stay focused. That's our race over. Black flag. We've been black flagged. Drive back into the pits.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows. So, let's review the drivers' standings. After an incredible performance, Lewis Hamilton secures the... With the race minutes away from start.
Okay, be wary of the cars ahead braking suddenly into... That's a decent start. Good job. Okay, entering lap 3 now. DRS has been enabled. Hamilton has just put up the fastest lap of the race so far. This is your final lap of the race. Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
So, another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today and the results speak for themselves.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. So let's review the updated driver's standings. It's a great result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
No doubt in my mind, I have to give it to Robert Kubica. Everyone else needs to be taking notes, because that was an absolutely textbook performance from him.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Another team that excelled today was Williams, who make further progress up the table. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement. It looks like it could be a tense round of the championship here as we prepare to get today's race underway. We're racing today then at Interlagos, a historic 2.7-mile circuit and one of the few anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. 15 corners in total, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, with a technical middle section opening up to a flat-out Sector 3. And that gives us our best passing opportunity down into Turn 1. I'm joined again today by none other than Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, obviously there's a lot of development work that goes on with these cars between the races. You've been both a test driver and a race driver. What differences are there in the way you approach those roles?
Interesting question, Crofty. They're two very different mindsets. I mean, when I tested for BAR, we had full in-season testing where, per driver, you'd cover up to 15,000 kilometres per season. And in that role, it was more about working for the team, trying to help them improve the car and drive as systematically as you could, so that that data could be analysed in the most consistent way. When you're lining up on the grid for a race, however, your frame of mind's all about what you can get out of the situation on that day, and the car's the tool to help you achieve what you want. You still want to focus on the setup, of course, but it's more about the here and now, getting yourself as far up the field as possible, and less about development work for the future.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Romain Grosjean lines up on pole position, and it's Lance Stroll in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Kvyat, Lando Norris, and Perez, Leclerc, Bottas, Gasly, and Albon, Magnussen, Carlos Sainz, and Giovinazzi, Kubica, Vettel, Kimi Raikkonen, and Nico Hülkenberg. Russell and Lewis Hamilton rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Keep your eyes open on the run to turn 1 and keep it clean. We want to come out in one piece. Good luck.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance. Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that. Let's have a look then at the drivers' standings. We also crown a new champion today, as their lead at the top is now an insurmountable one. What a great year it's been for Formula One. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
It's got to be Lewis Hamilton. I mean, he pulled off some impressive feats out on the track today, even by his standards.
It's time to check out the Constructors' standings. It's another clear win for Mercedes as they managed to secure the Constructors' title.